Okay, this is going to be our last lesson for chapter 5-4 for polynomial long division. And in this example, we're going to take a look at, is a polynomial a factor of another polynomial? And the way that you determine that is if the remainder is 0, just like if we were doing factors with numbers. If I said, is 2 a factor of 42? Well, you go ahead and divide, and it is. 42 can be written as the product of 2 times 21. So 2 is definitely a factor of 42. So let's go ahead and divide and see if x squared plus 1 is a factor of this polynomial here. And you're going to notice here that we're also missing a term again. We have a term to the fourth, the third, the second. We're missing x to the first power. So remember, when we're missing a term, we have to fill that in when we write out our polynomial long division statement. So let's go ahead and write it. And when we get to that term, we are going to fill it in with a 0 coefficient. Plus 0x plus 5. All right, how many times does x squared go into 3x to the fourth? So by now you probably figured out how to do this in your head. It goes in 3x squared. Oops, let's go ahead and erase that because that looks horrible. 3x squared times. And we're going to distribute this term across both of them. So we get 3x to the fourth. And this is going to be a plus 3x squared. And I want you to notice if we wrote it under this, we'd be writing it under the wrong column. So let's make sure that we write our terms under the right column. This is going to be 3x squared plus 3x squared. If we don't write them under the right column, what's going to happen? We're going to add terms that aren't compatible, that aren't like terms. So let's go ahead and do our subtraction. And I'm going to just go ahead and stick in a 0x cubed here so we don't forget to subtract. We get a 0 here when we subtract. And then when we have a negative 4 minus a 0, it's just a negative 4x cubed. Then we have 12 minus a positive 3, which gives us a 9x squared. Let's go ahead and bring down our other terms. And now x squared goes into negative 4x cubed. It goes in there x number of times. Oh, actually, it goes in there more than that. It goes in there negative 4x times. Sorry. Negative 4x times. Negative 4x times x squared is negative 4x cubed. Negative 4x times 1 is negative 4x. Again, we don't want to write it under the wrong column. Let's make sure that we're writing it under the correct column. And now we're going to subtract negative 4x cubed minus a negative 4x cubed. That's adding. So we'd get a 0. If we add our 0 term here, 9 minus a 0 is just 9x squared. 0 minus a negative 4x. Remember, these will cancel the negatives out. Will be a positive 4x, and we'll bring our 5 down. And then x squared goes into 9x squared. It goes in there 9 times. 9 times x squared is 9x squared. 9 times 1 is 9, so make sure you put that under the right column. I'm going to go ahead and add that 0x here. We're going to do our subtraction. 9x squared minus 9x squared is 0. 4 minus 0 is 4x. And then 5 minus 9 is negative 4. Now we're going to see, does x squared go into 4x? It doesn't. And the reason it doesn't is that the degree of this polynomial right here, the degree is 1. The degree of this polynomial, this one right here, the degree is 2. Whenever your degree down here is less than the degree of the divisor, you're done dividing. So we know that we're done dividing because this x has a degree of 1. This x in our divisor has a degree of 2. 1 is less than 2, so we are done. How do we represent our answer? Because it does have a remainder. Remember, we're always going to represent it in terms of our quotient. So we have 3x squared minus 4x plus 9, and we're going to add to it our remainder, which is 4x minus 4, and we're going to put that remainder over our divisor, x squared plus 1. And that is our answer. Because we had a remainder, let's go ahead and answer this question. Because we had a remainder, is x squared plus 1 a factor? No. If our remainder was 0, it would have been a factor.